Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be, for all of you lovely human beings on the face of this earth. Or maybe some are watching not on Earth, from Earth. Maybe some of you are on a different planet completely. Um, Maybe some of you are on different planets. Yeah, you know, like some of Liverpool's forwards today. But we will get into talking about that and all things Liverpool nil, Crystal Palace 1. I have water, I have paracetamol, and I have the Red Fellas with me today. Thank you very much for joining us. Smash the like on your way in. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're here for the tears, if you're here for the fears, whatever you're here for, just hit that like button and enjoy the show. Enjoy the show because I'm not sure if we're going to enjoy talking about Liverpool right now, Evan. We always enjoy talking about Liverpool, win, lose, or draw. It's an emotional club. The fans get emotional. We're just an emotional institution. So therefore, I'm just going to ask how you feel emotionally. I mean, I know we had a bit of a chat before we went live on our WhatsApp group, and we were all coping with it in different manners and forms. But just let the people know how you feel emotionally.
It's a it's a special type of apathy, Grizz, and it's an apathy that I've only felt once before. I was talking to my dad, trying to describe the feeling, and he was like, What you're describing is the feeling we had at the end of 21-22 when Villa were leading City at the Etihad, but we had not put Wolves to bed yet at Anfield, where, holy crap, Villa are actually doing us a favor, but we can't even sort ourselves out. And obviously we did, but that's the point I'm trying to make, that specific feeling of apathy, of seeing things in the universe working in your favor, but the things that you were in control of in this universe, you can make work in your own favor. It creates a specific feeling that is difficult to describe, Grizz, to be honest. It's really, really crap.
Conroy, this club does it to us, doesn't it? People speak about sort of the emotional roller coaster this club takes you through. And even in one season, like how many times have we spoken about it? So many emotional roller coasters in one season. Of course, the previous quad season where we actually ended up winning two trophies out of four. This season we win an early trophy and then we sort of slowly but gradually work our way towards the other competitions. And now, in my opinion, and obviously we're here to listen to everyone else's opinion and share ours. In my opinion, that's it. I think the season's done for me anyway. In my personal opinion, hopefully, some people can talk me out of it and make me see something different that I haven't covered or seen. But this is an emotional roller coaster of a club, isn't it? It really puts you through the emotions.
And I think the thing is, Grizz, we've seen this movie before. We've ran this race, and unfortunately, we've not won any of these races when it has been actually a race. Was it photo finish, if you will? And I think because of that experience, because of that knowledge, that my Old Trafford last week and that today, it's very, very hard for me, who's never the eternal optimist. I'm aware of that, but just to see the way football is, there's patterns in football. There is unpredictability, but in these situations when you're relying on other teams to drop points, it's just, I would tend to agree with you. I can't see that. And I think that's not even being proper reactionary today. Today is
Mm.
very disappointing for lots of reasons, but I think we've had the show, it's been therapy sessions, but we've been in this situation before. And I'm not going to do the thing, where they're going to drop points there, that's going to happen, because I just can't see it. And ultimately, after today, you've gave the keys to a team who's very well versed, and just when their foot's on the pedal, they'll just go right now. And they've done it, they've been there before. And when you put it in perspective like that, I'm just quite gutted today, to be honest. And I mean, you might say, I know we're going to get into it, you might say, did Arsenal lose that game if Liverpool win? You can always look at situations are different, but is Evan, to be fair, in the comments earlier, I meant to say, I'd said Emery a couple of weeks ago, but so did Evan as well with Aston Villa. They just felt there was something in the air with that game, what happened to Emery at Arsenal. They just felt like he would love to be that person, the villain of the story. And that's what makes it so gutting, is when you do your job and someone actually does you the favour, it's only your fault. You're the one who's not taking it at the end of the day. So, yeah, I don't even know if I'm gutted. I'm just disappointed, to be honest. That's overall feeling.
Gutted seems to be the word. My very good friend Itza, who happened to be at the match today. Lucky I didn't go today. I did have a ticket in the morning, but I let him go on his own. Well, actually, he went with someone else, and I didn't go with him. Drive safely. Don't be too emotional. We'll have a cup of tea tomorrow and discuss it over some cakes and tea. Yeah, Keith. Conroy described himself as not usually the most, or maybe the pessimist of the crew. You most certainly aren't the pessimist of the crew, my friend. You are our cheerleader, our main man, our go-to hype merchant. How must you feel today? I want an insight into your thoughts. Probably more than Evans and Conroy's. You're on mute. Maybe that's what your emotions are right now.
I'm on mute. I've just been on mute, basically. Since I watched that game, I've just been on mute. You know, I've gone from eternal optimist to just being humbled, man. Like, went to the pub and I watched it on my own, and I realized that I should watch football at home more often, because I was banging the table, been swearing, blinding. I thought I was gonna get kicked out.
Not you, Keith. Sorry.
I see.
Not you. Yeah, not you.
United fans, or eternally living in other people's sorrow. But yeah, just ultimately one of just hollow is the best word to describe right now. You know, after it's almost like a balloon has just popped, and like there's nothing else left to say or do. And you know what the worst thing is? When everyone was saying, when did you feel like that was a 2020 that season? Do you know when I felt like that? When I thought this has just been one step too far. It was under Brendan Rodgers when we went to Crystal Palace, and it was Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 3. People said there was still games to go. I think there was still about 5 games to go. People said it's still in your hands. But I remember watching the boys that day and realizing that was it. That was the time when the fight had been beaten out of us. And today's the day I feel like that.
Hassan's in the building. Big up Hassan. He says, hit the likes, people. Can't help but think our season is over. So close, yet so far is the tale of Liverpool in the Premier League era. Hurt today and lost for words. We all kind of are, but the show literally must go on. It reminds me, a massive shout out to Hassan and the boys, who actually we actually met over the weekend, and they traveled all the way from Houston, Texas to watch Liverpool play today. And I don't know what to say to them. I don't know how to feel for them.
Sorry. Go on. Off the story of this, I saw someone tweet that apparently that some fans came from Tokyo to watch their first 2 games for Liverpool ever at home, the Atlanta game and the Palace game. So big up all you traveling Reds. And it's just unfortunate that the one time we lose.
Well, the funny thing is, these guys, we met them and we had some lovely dinner a couple of nights ago, and they were like, we're so excited to be here. And they were actually planning to come over for the week in terms of catch the Man United game, the Atalanta game, and the Palace game. So if there's any consolation, brothers, you only saw one of the 3. But big up yourself, safe travels. I think they're traveling back in the next few days, probably. Big up yourselves, safe journey. You'll never walk alone.
Hate to add on to it, Grizz, but president of our San Francisco Liverpool Supporters Club chapter also made the trek out today.
Oh Lord!
It wasn't her first Liverpool game. I'm almost sure of it, but she also made the trip across the pond for today. So my thoughts are with her and everybody else. You know, safe travels and all that. But it's the reality of being a foreign fan. I have to speak from personal experience
It's,
here. Like, I
listen, the thing is, right, Ev, the thing is, right, check this out, right? You speak about being a foreign fan, right? And I appreciate the plane journey from America, depending obviously which part of America you can come from ranges from like, it can range from 7, 8 hours to 10, 11 hours or whatever, right? I'm not joking to you. There's parts of London to get to Liverpool would take the best, the best part of 4 or 5 hours as well, which is almost being a fucking journey as well. And the journey back is the feeling of driving back on one of these is yeah, it's not pleasant. Yo, what's good's in the building sends the first super chat of the night. He says, you need to have a talk about us OOP.
out
Someone
of
help me out with
possession.
that. Out of
Out of
possession.
possession.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how bad Klopp's system is at tracking third man runs, because I've seen United and Palace use it effectively
So,
against us on the right hand side. I guess we get into it, guys. This is enough of the emotional baggage that we're carrying now. Well, it is what it is. And you guys think I was joking about the paracetamol. I'm actually popping 2 paracetamols. My head is gone. I'm feeling really, really. Give me a second. Actually, give me a second. Ev, Crystal Palace came to Liverpool, set up with one centre back who was, by the way, he's my non-top 6 favourite centre back of the Premier League. Anderson. I forgot his first name.
What? Joachim, is it?
Joachim
Anderson.
Anderson.
Joachim Anderson. Yeah.
Joachim Anderson is one of my favourite centre backs. He is ably assisted with Lima. How do you say Lerma? Who's a ball-winning midfielder as a left centre-back. And then our very own, remember him? Nathaniel, good old Nathaniel as a right-centred centre-back. They set up pretty much identically to the way Atalanta nullified us and beat us comprehensively. It wasn't as comprehensive as that, but that game plan, is it one to worry us now that a lot of teams are going to try to emulate this? Because Palace haven't set up like this before. And suddenly they're set up for this game like this. By the way, Cav has braved it and joined us. Really, really appreciate that. I'm about to pop my paracetamol as well, son. So, yeah. Sorry, Ev. Take it away. Is it something to worry about this formation teams have? Is this our kryptonite?
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if I can just sort of tag Cav in here. I'm just so messed up over the day. No, I'm kidding, Cav. We'll do it together. Yes, Grizz, it is something to worry about. I think the concerns, even when Liverpool were winning and they were in the driver's seat in this title race and things were looking up, I think there was always a concern underlying sort of just the build-up. Liverpool in the first phase, what does that look like? And you named players who rightfully deserve quite a bit of applause. You name, Joachim Anderson, not his first time coming to Anfield and playing well. Jefferson Lerma has been one of the most underrated players in the Premier League for the last 6 or 7 years at least. Nathaniel Klein, many people thought his career in the top flight was done after a certain point, too many injuries, etc. Those players deserve their applause for Palace. But let me tell you what I think the kryptonite here actually is, and I don't think it's players you have in your defensive line when you set up against Liverpool. If you can deny Liverpool space in the first phase, and when I mean Van Dijk passing to McAllister, for example, Van Dijk passing to Endo, whoever's in the pivot in that given moment, if you can deny Liverpool space and you can congest the middle, then I think more often than not, especially in the last month, our buildup has fallen flat. Now, don't get me wrong, those players you named, Lerma, Anderson, Klein, they would do, when Liverpool went direct, they would have jobs to do, and they did them admirably well. But the players we should be highlighting here is players like Eze, of course, who, picked up a few knocks for his troubles. But let me bring your attention to the 2 in midfield, and I don't want to go on forever. Adam Wharton, we're looking at £100 million player. They snatched him up from Blackburn in January. He's been extraordinary. He's been absolutely extraordinary. He's the type of player that Fergie would have gone after in the 2000s. He's just an incredible. I think he's incredible. Will Hughes as well put in an incredible shift. The pairing of those two denied so much space for the likes of McAllister, for the likes of Jones, for the likes of Soboslai, whoever sought to drop in and tried to offer any sort of creative link in the first phase. They denied them that space and that opportunity. That, for me, is more concerning than the heroic performances of the back three. Both deserve our attention, as you rightfully highlighted, Grizz, but I wanted to draw everybody's attention to those two specifically. You know, if I was watching this game as a neutral, I would have been oohing and ahhing over Adam Wharton and Will Hughes at every moment.
Yeah, shout out to my very good friend Tez Ilyas. If you guys don't know who Tez Ilyas is in the sphere of acting, British acting, go and check him out. A very, very, very funny guy, and he tweeted. Adam Wharton, the world, or something along the lines of Adam Wharton, the world will recognize him today. And yeah, he was right. I thought he was fantastic. I agree with you. Easily, probably one of the men of the match alongside their keeper and sort of Joachim Andersen. Hi, Cav. Welcome. As usual, thank you very much for joining us. We've just had a little bit of a emotional chat about how we feel and how this club does this to us, the highs and lows. But I think this is, I don't want to hype about and go overreact, but one of the lowest weeks that I can remember, most certainly in the Klopp era, I think is fair to say, or is that unfair to say?
I personally, I don't feel that way. I got to be honest.
Okay.
And I've been rattling my brain as to why I don't feel quite the emotion that I perhaps should after the result in the week and then the result today. And I think it's probably just the realization came a few weeks back that, you know, this Liverpool team wasn't really showcasing that they're really going to go on and win this title. You know, they weren't showing the minerals all season. We've been like this, we've been getting by, but how many real statement performances have we put in? You know, you can in one hand say, well, credit to Liverpool for putting themselves in this position, credit to the players, credit for finding a way, using the squad, rotating, in-game management and so on and so on. But I don't think we've ever really been consistent, you know, and that's fine because there's a lot of new players and we've spoken about what type of season we would be in for with regards to transition and so on. And since we come back off the international break, we've just not played. We've seen this is almost like a 10-game mini season, and this is where some players would be coming back. Some of our so-called, you know, first team big stars would be coming back, and then performances would start now. You know, we've been getting results, but we'll see performances and results now, and it's just not happened. You know, and we've been getting by, but it's been disappointing, and it kind of felt like your luck might dry up. There's only so many times you can go to the well. Don't get me wrong, we've earned our luck because we do, you know, try and get our goals, especially as the game goes on. But it just felt like today, I'd say from the United result, it just felt like I think maybe the guys have lost a little bit of belief in themselves, maybe. And I think today's performance reflected that a little bit. It almost felt like we were just handing our opportunity away. We were just giving our ticket back to the title. And I didn't feel like it really was that gut-wrenching, you know, like it was in years gone by. Because in years gone by, there was like a referee decision or, you know, you was giving everything and it just felt like, you know, nothing was coming off. I really don't feel like we have given everything, to be honest with you. I know we created chances today, but I felt like there was much more that this squad could have done. So I just felt it was just inevitable that we would drop points and ultimately the title would end up elsewhere. I mean, it's not completely over, but I'm just not seeing a team out there. I'm not seeing the passion, the desire, and the intensity from a team that really wants to go and win a Premier League title. And that's probably why I feel okay with it. Because if they're not showing it me, why should I feel it? You know.
Fair enough, Conroy. We've all given our emotional side of things. I guess it's time to look into the game and tuck into the game. And yeah, look, the way Cavs put it, is kind of just made me feel a bit different about it. But look, the lineup kind of, obviously the big hype, the big surprise, or the big positive was the return of Alisson, because stability is something you need. We discussed it. normally when you win leagues, and I don't know if someone can look this up from a statistical point of view, or Evan might have it in his database, i.e. his brain already, but normally when title winners don't often change their back fours or goalkeepers. Most league winning teams have a best back four that you can rely on and play sort of 70% of the time. We've not had that, and it's shown. The amount of times we've conceded. I don't want to go into the boring stats about how many times we've gone behind or whatever, but it's just not sustainable, and it's caught up with us now, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Grizz. I think it's like anything that Carragher said it during the commentary. It's like, it's great that you can rescue games, and I don't know the stats of how many times we've done that this season. I know we're from 75 to 90, we're clearly the front runners for that. But just like Cav said, you can't keep putting yourself in situations where you have to rescue a game, because just like Sheffield United's goal at Anfield, football is a weird game. Things can happen. You could have, like the chances today, great chances that should have been goals, but they just don't go in. So it's like you can't keep relying on that ability to rescue games. There needs to be more control. There has to be analysis of the mistakes and not keep letting it happen. That comment, super chat about the third midfield runner is a great point. Like Skamaka's goal during the week, yes, it's a poor finish that Kelleher should save, but it's still a point blank shot in the box. And today we see a mirror image from the other side. So it's very, very frustrating. You can't keep putting yourself in situations. It gets to a certain point where it's like, I've never seen a team win the league like that when you have to keep doing it. Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool's a prime example. Was that sustainable? No, because ultimately, when you get to the end of the season, if you keep conceding, you keep putting yourself in that situation, it just won't work. And I don't think there is even an example. You may have one previously, maybe Blackburn kind of outgunned teams, but like 9 times out of 10, that's just not going to work. And on top of that as well, because of performances have not been really consistent as well. You can maybe say the last couple of games, especially at Old Trafford, we did play well, and the previous game at Old Trafford as well. But overall, there's just, you can't keep doing it that way. And I think on the lineup today as well, just a quick point that Cav, again, who's back, thankfully he's in tonight. After last week, we mentioned Elliott. What more does Elliott need to do to get an opportunity to start a game? And yeah, again, I know we'll go into it as the match goes on. It's like the players who actually are making an impact right now, it seems to be that they're not getting the first choice, even as a sub today, to come on and impact the game. So find that very frustrating as well, to be honest.
Heath, it's mad. It's actually mad how just around the 15th minute of every game, we concede like clockwork. I don't even remember anything before that, whether we think we started off well. I just found our passing so slow and so sort of, sometimes you think we're working our way into games, but after our last couple of performances, we had absolutely no reason to work our way into a game. We should have gone for this from the offset. Instead, Palace, unlike sort of the other goals we've conceded where Kelleher could have saved Skamaka's shot. Benteke scores a screamer, one off like we discussed. He will never do that again. This was actually, I just read, a 21 pass move. A 21 pass move in the opening 15 minutes of a game that means everything to us, but it shouldn't really mean that much to Palace. Everything to us after the defeats and performances that we've had. A team, no disrespect to Palace, but just above the relegation zone, have come to Anfield that's supposed to be a furnace, especially Klopp's second or third last game. They've put a passing sequence of 21 passes and side-footed with the final shot, a guy with acres of space in the thing. Try to make sense of that, my brother, and relay that to the watching and listening public.
The best way I can relay that to you, Grizz, is by saying that there was a number of players that seem to have been rewarded after that embarrassing defeat at Anfield against Atalanta with a start in the starting 11.
Tell us who. Let's call them out.
Let's be honest, right? Khanage is nowhere near fit enough, sharp enough to be playing football at this level in a title race as it currently stands, in my opinion. Mohamed Salah is not sharp enough to be playing and starting at this moment in time in a title race. We have bleeded McAllister and Endo dry to the point where at least one of them, you could argue, could actually, do you know what? Let's start them from off the bench because we've been playing them to bits. Darwin Núñez has once again gone off the boil, right? His pressing's awful. His composure's non-existent. He'll pop up every now and again, but so that I probably named about 4 or 5 players there that I'm surprised that Klopp really didn't actually say, do you know what? I'm going to reel in the changes here. I'm going to find hungrier players at this moment in time because these players, they're off form completely. And the best way to describe how that goal was coming was how Crystal Palace kicked off. Crystal Palace kicked off. Will Hughes dribbled into our half, virtually unopposed, with ease. That's how Palace started the game. So there was no aggression even in the first 15 minutes. There was no sharpness. No one was really switched on. Liverpool players seem to be going through the motions. And it's a real eye-opener lately that the players that we've been begging and hoping to come back have not come back title challenging ready, trophy winning ready. They've kind of sorted their way back into the starting 11 and have not really done anything to deserve to be there. If anything, I'd say the young lads who played against Chelsea in the League Cup at extra time, them young lads probably would be more aggressive and put up more of a fight as it currently stands than the lads who we're supposed to be trusting with this particular title race. There's a part of me that wants to say it's their first time they're in this position. It's the first time they're feeling the pressure. It's this, it's that, and the other. I just watched Bayern Leverkusen. Nathan Teller, who was playing for Southampton last season, players like him, Granit Xhaka, who England ran off to say that he was rubbish. Players like them seem to all have the bottle to be able to stick up and fight in these situations. But this team, this 11 that was out on that pitch, for the first half and the half against Atlanta and the end of the second half against Manchester United in both games, I don't know what it is, but they seem to have just lost all composure, all tactical strategic thinking, all positioning, and it falls on them at the end of the day because this is not acceptable, in my opinion, to start a football match like that, regardless of whether we deserve to be in this situation or we don't deserve to be in this situation. Even if we were fighting for fourth, even if we were fighting for Europa League, you're playing against Crystal Palace. With all due respect to Gazna, he's won one match. One match. This is his second win. With all due respect to Palace, the only team they've beaten since November away from home is Burnley. So there's no excuse. But sometimes teams up their level to play against us. Oh, why do they do it against City? Because City take emotion out of the game, keep their tactical discipline, and go out there and win football matches. And so that, for me, that first half was, and that goal that we conceded, disgrace, absolute disgrace.
Conroy, we expect an avalanche the other way and Liverpool to really gear themselves, because we should be used to it by now. It fucking happens every game. So we should have enough nous and experience and know how to deal with it. And a lot of the time we have got away with it and do know how to deal with it. We are Robertson, brilliant, amazing recovery way instead of going 2-0 down. At this stage, they're slicing through us. So at this stage, is it a selection problem, a hunger problem, a tactical setup problem, an Adam Wharton, Will Hughes problem? What problem is it at this stage? What are you seeing in that opening half an hour that is making Crystal Palace almost seemingly slice through us?
Well, for me, we looked leggy. The first quarter, maybe 30 minutes of the game looked leggy. That could be down to lots of things, but we definitely did. You can maybe say individuals could change that as well, but back to Keith's point, whoever started that match, it wasn't correct, but they looked leggy.
So this is on Klopp as well, right? Not just the players, because the selection, are we suggesting, or are we of the opinion the selection, you got it wrong? It's not based on current merit or form.
Tactics then. Yeah, like obviously, don't get me wrong, like Palace have kind of like I don't know if it's exactly the blueprint at Atalanta. That might just be a coincidence in the same week, but there's definitely something in there. I've not had a proper analysis of the game to see if it's exactly man for man, again. But there is something in there where there seems to be they're creating and catches in transition, and it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like how you'd have like a snatch and grab, a smash and grab. It wasn't like that, because it wasn't just Mateta's chance. Palace had about 4 or 5 chances first half where if they'd played the correct pass, Elise, who actually not usually, he actually didn't release the ball quick enough a few times as well. Eze was getting more confident as the game was going forward, just being like, well, you're actually not defending too good, so I'll just dribble past you. It's pretty simple. They were actually increasing confidence. But for me, if I'm looking at that tactically, I don't know. I felt we were leggy. So is that maybe we've not managed the season well enough? Should have Klopp seen that in the game and be like, okay, we need to change it up a bit here, or maybe looked at that and thought, you know what? Eventually, we'll get control of the game and we'll be able to have a rampage and then get back in the game. But for me, it wasn't by accident. I made that clear first half. Palace kept getting to spaces. Now, following this game, not that we care about any future fixtures at the moment, it's going to be interesting to see if this is something that keeps coming up again. But we'll see.
Ev, it's true. We will have to keep an eye on the intensity levels and the energy levels, because in seasons gone by, there is a reason, there's an excuse for our intensity levels to drop, because we've had so many injuries and we've played the same people. But now, the last couple of weeks, we've had players returning, players rested. What is it? Why were we so lethargic? People are saying, oh, we hate using the word term leggy. What does it mean? Well, it means what you just saw out there. Players being able to run past our players, and our players not having the energy levels to keep up with them. Vish sends in a super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Defense is what costs us this title. We go down 18 times this season, which reinforces the pressure on the attackers. Each miss counts more when you're already handicapped and becomes a revolving cycle. At this stage, Ev, we're chasing the game already, and suddenly for again, it's only for about 5-10 minutes, but the 5-10 minutes we lose total composure and confidence in the game.
Yeah, it's I have time for all of these theories, to be honest. If people want to say this is the injury crisis hitting us, finally catching up to us, we've ran this fit core of 14 players dry, and the players coming back from injury, it's too little too late because they don't have rhythm. I hear that. If people want to say tactically we've lost an edge and gone stale, I can hear that. If people want to say the team selection is off these last few weeks, I can hear that. Because personally, in my heart, I truly believe that it is all of those things sort of snowballing into one big problem. What Vish highlighted there in the super chat, going behind 18 times. This is a phenomenon that has apparently not fully gone away. Do you remember this was the story of last season, amongst other things? But remember that this was our thing last season as well, conceding early. We didn't create nearly as many chances or score nearly as many goals last season, but this was a theme. So clearly, it is still somehow embedded into the tactical identity of this team, or the mentality of this team. Keith talks about the tone that was set at kickoff. Yeah, that was kind of concerning. And then Grizz, before they even get their goal, before Robertson even gets or has to make that goal line clearance, they find those pockets in between the defensive line and our midfield line on 2 or 3 concerning occasions. Nothing glaringly obvious like they have to score, but I think Eze has a shot from within 18 yards. They have looks. You know what I mean? And I don't know, because to be honest, I do think it's a bit of everything, to be honest. We're not covering the ground in midfield anymore. Endo looked absolutely shattered. Just absolutely shattered. McAllister, absolutely shattered. Curtis Jones, maybe fresher than those guys, but still not match fit. Still not close to the presence he was towards the end of last season and for the first half of this campaign. I think when you don't have the athletes, like the pure top 1% athletes in this sport, and you have an off day, or you're starting to get tired, or you're starting to get lethargic, I think you will get exposed more often. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that if you, I don't know, throw Moises Caicedo, for example, since he's the guy we almost got. If you throw him into Endo's position today, then I think you have a slightly different result, even if Moises Caicedo is tired too, even if he's been overused as well. Because I think superior athletes can bail you out of these situations more often than not. And I think that's why we had so much more success in 1819 and 1920, because the midfield, even though it probably wasn't to the level of technicality that we currently have with all of our magicians and technicians and chance creators, it was an athletic top 1% sort of, midfield. You know what I mean? This is back when Henderson still had his legs, Fabinho still had his legs, Wijnaldum was an absolute freak. He literally said by his own word, "I never get tired, I don't need to recover," and he meant it. It was 100% true. I think that core of athleticism, pace, and power, I think it used to bail Liverpool out more often than we're willing to give it credit for. So that's my long-winded attempt of trying to answer your question, Grizz. But it's a tough question to answer because, like I said, I do believe it is a culmination of 5 or 6 things snowballing into one.
Yeah, I'm here to ask the tough questions, Kath. I'm not here to ask the easy questions like who the fuck was your man of the match and shit like that. You know what I mean? we're we ain't in that mode or mood, anymore, Kav. And yeah, we're gonna have to tuck into some individuals, even though as a collective we lost, from the manager to the players to everyone. The only person in my eyes gets a little bit of credit, or sort of not criticized, is Robertson and Diaz. That's just my opinion. Everyone will have theirs. I thought Robertson was superb, and you could tell he was like the freshest, and obviously been out, but he was back to his peak fitness levels, and it showed. He's the one who's most familiar with playing Diaz. There seemed to be no familiarity anywhere else on the pitch, Cav. It was like strangers. And unfortunately, today was, and I've been not wanting to single him out because, like Evan just said, I think we've overplayed him, and I think we've got carried away with the hype. But Endo looked like a £15 million player that's been bought to be a squad player, come in, do a job, move out. Squad player, come in, move a job. I thought he was atrocious, and I didn't think he needed to be on the pitch in the last couple of games. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's tired legs, season's perhaps a bit long for him, intensity's caught up a little bit, but it's
a different fucking ball game, Cav. He's come from guys, help me out. He came from
Stuttgart.
Yeah. Stuttgart in a relegation battle every season, just doing the bare minimum and getting plaudits for it. And I'm not trying to shoot him down too much. I'm gonna shoot down some big boys as well. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, it's not his fault. He is what he is.
Yeah.
Basics. Give me the ball. I'll win a few tackles. But I think Evans absolutely nailed it when we say, and I've said it before, his footballing brain is quicker than anyone else's, but he just doesn't have the physical attributes to do what his footballing brain is suggesting or saying he needs to do.
Yeah, and you know what? Me personally, I think his greatest asset is he recognizes danger so quick. So as soon as he sees his teammate pressing the ball, he'll often be the second man that engages in that press, and he snaps on it. And that's why we're able to win the ball high up the pitch. We were at our best when Fabinho was doing that as well. And then we push the back line up, and we compress the pitch, and we increase the intensity because we're just playing in such short spaces because we're compressing the pitch. And he wasn't able to do that today. Legginess, tiredness, what have you. He was just a little bit off it, and his tackles were just not effective at all if he was making them. He was being given the ball a lot, and fair play to him for still wanting the ball. But you could feel the atmosphere in the crowd. It was like, there's urgency now. Getting the ball, receiving the ball off the centre backs and giving it back to them is nice when you're ahead in the game. It's nice during the season because everybody's like, oh, Endo's still bedding in and stuff. But when you're going for a title, suddenly that tone changes and it goes, you need to do something now. Get that ball and move it on. be progressive with it, break the lines, do something, especially when you're a goal down as well. So I think it just heaped on the pressure. And once he got on the ball, he just was passing it backwards. I think he lost all confidence to try and do anything particularly progressive. And the same can be said for a lot of them out there, to be honest with you. But he did struggle in the game. And he was the one player that you thought at half time, changes have got to be made. And it's very rare, but this was a performance by one player where you thought it's too obvious to take him off. I don't think Klopp would like, and I personally don't like to see players brought off at half time when they've had a bad first 45, because it can do a little bit of damage to the psyche. But you just have to when it's that bad of a performance. And Klopp was right to bring him off. We know McAllister can go into the 6 then. And what you get with McAllister in the 6 is more progressive passing from that position. Yes, you may lose a little bit of the defensive solidity, but if you're not getting that in the game from Endo, you may as well stick somebody in there that's going to be a little bit more progressive with their passes. So it just seemed too much of an obvious thing to do, to bring Endo out of the firing line and put Mac in there.
Guys, and I don't know, but we've had some of the best games, and we were eulogizing about our midfield when we had McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Curtis Jones before the injury, I should say. So it's not as though we were reverting back to unknown midfield. It was actually a midfield that was so superb in the first half of the season. And obviously Endo came in and done a very, very good job. As I said, it's so harsh to pick him out only. But as I said, I'm going to pick far more experienced and better, highly rated players as well. I'm not making him a scapegoat, so to speak. Junior Mafia says, problem started in Klopp's selection in the return leg against Sparta. Khanage injured, Salah, Szoboszlai played 90 minutes. This affected the FA Cup game against Man United. Keith, we were very excited about sort of the squad coming back, and one of the reasons was, one of the concerns I had was some of the players will take time to get into the pace of things. Mm-hmm. I've said it before. Alisson sometimes is prone to an error when he's coming back. Curtis Jones is slow, getting back into rhythm. Who else? Szoboszlai, we don't know what he's like because he's never been injured in his life before. Mohamed Salah, we never knew what he's like after a long-term injury because he's never been injured in his life before. But all of these were coming to fruition now, where we saw people, not quite up to the pace get to the game. By the way, lads, the opening goal, because I'm sometimes mad like this. I try to find where it all started from. It all starts from Alisson. Where he gets the ball and then he tries to do his stuff with the ball at his feet and he puts it out for a throw-in. And we don't see the ball after that. Mm-hmm. So he chips it directly at play. And I don't want to bring it up because Alisson goes on to make one of the saves of all time. And obviously it's insignificant, obviously, as a result of it. And we know he's one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. But fucking hell, he does my head in sometimes. And that goal starts from there, guys. We're in possession of the ball. He chips it out to Robertson. Doesn't chip it out to Robertson. Goes out of play. We don't see the ball until he picks it out of the net. But anyway, it's done. It's done. Up the other end, Keith. Obviously, we know Jurgen Klopp's going. And obviously, we know there's 5 forwards. And obviously, we know Darwin Núñez is the highest profile forward. Mohamed Salah, all right. But Darwin Núñez, and obviously we know there is question marks, despite what his biggest fans, and I know some of them are sitting here in front of me. Not in front of me, but, in front of my screen. I think there will be a question mark on every single one of our forwards, bar Jota, next season. Rightfully so, or am I being harsh?
Okay, so I see this debate a lot. My concern comes more with the fact that we have to win every football match by 2 or more goals, and if you consider the fact that we've pretty much had to win every football match by 2 or more goals, and we are in the position we are in, there is an argument to suggest that it's, it can't all be the forwards' fault. Like, arguably, you could suggest that us even being in this position is because of the forwards, not despite the forwards. But now we've got into a situation where we can't defend and we can't control the ball. We can't control possession. in our own half, and we're conceding goals. And now now we have to score, and now we're putting the pressure on the forwards to go and win us the game once again. So I can understand the question marks going into the summer being, can you raise funds if you sell someone like Mohamed Salah? Is he, or if Darwin Núñez is you're looking at his numbers and you think that there's a better striker who's going to be more clinical than him. But when I look at the overall season as a whole collective, not just what we've done in 2024, I find it challenging and difficult to blame the forwards. I actually say that they're the reason we are in, and all 5 of them are the reason we are in the position we are in. My question mark really comes down to our centre backs, and once again we're having a conversation about the midfield options that we have going into the summer. Because first of all, Khanage, big question mark on him in my opinion at this stage. We've had him for a few years now. He can't complete more than 1,500 minutes. I think the only time he's done 2,000 or more minutes was when he was at Leipzig. So he's never available, but always considered to be the number 1 centre back partner, and always comes in straight back into the side instantaneously as soon as there's an option. But again, he doesn't have the sharpness. He always gets injured. He plays himself to a bit of form, and then that has reverberating effects throughout the whole team. Right? Again, we were talking about the midfield options. When I look at Endo, that is the only we have too many of the same. Right? We've got Curtis Jones, we've got Harvey Elliott, we've got Ryan Gravenberch, we've got Dominic Szoboszlai. McAllister, you could argue, is the 6/8, but we've arguably got about 4 or 5 midfielders who are very, very similar, play the game very, very similar, right? Lack, in my opinion, defensive nous, right? Can allow third men to get behind them. And at times, especially when they switch off, because if you see even for the goal, can be almost caught ball watching rather than trying to snuff out danger around them. So if you were to ask me where I would see the issues that are starting to creep up on us and have been an issue even when we've had players fit, those are the areas that are a key concern for me. There's too much space at the moment. Even Van Dijk, to a certain extent, has to take responsibility for what's going on at this moment in time. Because even how far much more of his powers are we going to be able to see over the coming years when he's out of position, he's not sniffing out danger as quickly as he used to be. We concede a lot of goals, and maybe not to the level that other teams have this season, but we do concede a lot of goals. So that's my issue at the moment. We're too easy to play against when the press is bypassed. So is that a tactical issue where actually Jurgen Klopp going could be an interesting change? Maybe we've outrun Jurgen Klopp. Maybe it is perfect time for Jurgen Klopp to say goodbye after 9 years, because maybe now the counter pressing and the way that he believes that we should be so aggressive, maybe that does need change. Or we need to look at the fact that we've got defenders, people whose job it is to defend, are not doing the job well enough.
I always like to bring the questions of tactics to Evan, and it just so happens it's your turn to speak, my friend. Red Heart Akshay sends in a super chat, and he says, Carlo showed everyone how to nullify our wing play in the Champions League final. We know what happened last season. Then we started playing through with the centre by changing Trent's position. Now Gasperini has effed us, plus Salah's bad form at the wrong time. Is this just like a combination, I think he's suggesting, of just things happening? Because I guess this segues into the second half, because not much happens. We just miss a few chances, as you normally do, and then everyone looks forward to the substitutions, and it's becoming the same old routine. Bring off Endo, bring on whoever's not playing out of Szoboszlai or Elliott or someone. This time it's Szoboszlai. But then we have the very unfortunate incident, and it looks quite serious to me. Connor Bradley goes off. I thought we were doing well from the wings, so I don't think they were nullifying us. I think we were actually getting some form of success through Robertson and Bradley both attacking instead of playing an inverted one. So, but that goes out the window because Trent comes in, Ev. This is what I want to ask you, Ev. I want to rack your brain. Because is this in-game tactical change that was made? Because we started off the game with Trent and Robertson playing as flying wing-backs almost in a 4-4-2, and Endo very much as a sitter, and Jones and McAllister as very much as eights. But then that all changed in the second half. with the injury to Bradley, because Trent straight away ran onto the pitch. Don't know if you guys saw it. He runs onto the pitch and he tells Khanage, get the over there on the right hand side. This is my domain.
Yeah. I saw that.
Is this? Are we confused? Is this tactical? Is this strategic? Are we in control of what we're doing here, or is this play as you go? Play as you go.
I mean,
I don't know.
this is the highest level. Trent's not going rogue. Like it's the Premier League. If he was sent on to play as an out and out right back, and then he decided, oh, I'm going to play midfield instead, this just doesn't fly. This is the highest level.
But it lasted 20 minutes, Ev.
Well,
Because then he went back to right back.
Well, I mean, then
That's
I
my
would say
point.
perhaps
I understand. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you that it's not Trent's call and Trent's decision to go there. But what I'm saying is this calm strategic thinking? Because literally 5-10 minutes later, he was playing as an orthodox right back again.
This brings us back to, should Trent be inverting? And this has been a debate for at least a year at this point, literally 12 months. Started doing it roughly 12 months ago. And the debate has always been, is that getting the most out of Trent? Is that resulting in more chances being created? There's the element that you brought up, Grizz, is why does Trent play right back for 5 minutes and then decide to play as a 6 for 5 minutes and go back and forth, back and forth? Is that making us better? Is that making us worse? If you look at the macro example, Liverpool started winning games again as soon as Trent started doing that. Liverpool took more points or just as many points in the last 12 months as any other team in the Premier League since Trent started doing that. So if you're asking me, on the whole, entire sample size of Trent doing that, the hybrid inversion, hybrid wingback thing, it's been objectively a success. In this specific game state, with Liverpool's specific problems, with Trent's specific lack of match fitness, you could make an argument that no, he should, like, the Klopp and Linder should have picked one or the other. In the interest of having some continuity and build up, in the interest of building some chemistry, in the interest of not overworking Trent or forcing him to play hero ball, maybe they should have picked one or the other specifically for this 45 minutes. But Trent inverting and doing the hybrid role as a whole has been a success. There's literally no doubt about it. The results speak for themselves. So what does this mean? I think tactically, since we're on the subject of tactics now, Liverpool started to experience a bit of joy in wide areas in the second half as soon as they got Mo Salah 1v1, not necessarily taking players on, but he's so good at the angles, he's so good at those passes, and even him out of form, looking leggy, he was able to finally after 65-70 minutes, the right-sided central midfielder was Szoboszlai at this point, he was able to make a run beyond Mo Salah. Whereas before in the first half, it was just so isolated. We couldn't even get him the ball looking at the goal. Forget getting him the ball directly outside the box. We couldn't even get him the ball 30 yards from goal, facing the goal. In the second half, we had it a few times, and lo and behold, we got Szoboszlai around the corner a few times, and he was able to hit a cross in. We got a little bit of joy. For me, that was the biggest disappointment. Because Mo Salah, no matter what form he's in, he's money from that position. He knows the angles so well. You guys know the passes I'm talking about. The little inside through balls from wide areas, the little Trivela passes, the little chips and dinks over the top. He's really good. But it didn't happen quite enough. Keith talked about like players, no one being off of the table in terms of criticism and uncomfortable conversations and all these things. And I just want to touch on this briefly. I just want to say, in the interest of the next 4 or 5 months, of course, very soon, this entire squad will not be Klopp's boys. They will not be his signings. Some of these guys won't even have been signed by Michael Edwards or gotten the Edwards stamp of approval. You know what I mean? So absolutely, there is a conversation to be had amongst all of these players. There are maybe 5 players who are untouchable. Maybe. And even then, two of those guys, they're getting on a little bit in age. So there's a conversation around, do you want to pay them another big contract? There are all sorts of conversations to be had. And I think the genetic makeup of our squad in terms of footballing DNA, that is, I think that could be twisted and changed, chopped and changed more than people could expect.
We definitely, most certainly, will have plenty of shows on that
Yeah.
very topic and subject throughout the next few weeks and coming months, of course. But I'm going to come to Conroy and Kavanagh. Conroy, I want to come to you first. And as I said, one of those names mentioned just misses chances, man. Again, just misses chances. There's a melee in the corner and the ball falls at Nunez's feet. I thought his performance in the first half. See, I've been praising Nunez in terms of he hasn't been scoring the goals, but I think his link-up play, his movement, everything else, 3-4 weeks ago was top-notch. I don't know how to describe his performance in that first half. I thought it just lacked basic footballing intellect. And maybe again that's me because I'm just so used to watching Bobby Firmino all my life, a lot of my footballing life. Sorry, I should say recent footballing life. He's just lost confidence. It seems. Is he a confident striker? I know it's the litmus question, the litmus test. We ask: is it what kind of striker is he? Is he just what we've discussed and said every frigging week? He is what he is. He's not efficient enough to win you league titles. Maybe.
Yeah, I think just a first point before that as though that came from a corner. I think our best chance of scoring today
Set
was from
pieces.
set pieces.
Well, you know why? Well, you know why? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because they had one centre-back playing. They had one centre-back playing. And they had two full-backs as centre-backs. That's why.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
but just to add that point though, because it's not like I know there's a few other occasions, but ultimately I felt during the game that was our best chance of scoring, which probably in itself that statement says a lot, probably sums up a lot of things in the last couple of weeks. But on Nunez, I hear a lot of what Keith's saying as well, because I think Evan and Keith have both made statements in the last 10 minutes and they have tried to look at it as a whole and not been so reactionary. I think when Nunez, when I look at him, I look when we're trying to sign a striker, and if you've got someone who's 6'3", but is also rapid and also can time those runs when he's on it, I'm not saying he has been the last couple of weeks, that's why I understand why you look at perseverance with a striker, because if it can come good, it could be a unicorn. Technically, it could be, because usually there'll be certain that profile striker to have that pace, but also be able to be that height as well. Even though Keith will say his heading's not great, but to have those things, it's like there is a lot. If it comes right, it could be outstanding for the team. It could be a game changer. However, when it comes to winning league titles, you need to be clutch. You need to turn up. You need to take the chances when they come. And there is lots of videos you'll see. There's been so many chances this season. A lot of strikers will miss a lot of chances. But in big moments, you need to step up. You need to show that this is why you're here. That's why you get paid the most, because scoring goals is the hardest part of football. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. I'm not going to be so reactionary to be like, get him out of the club and stuff, because I understand why you've signed that player. I do see for the future. I do understand that. But it might change the conversation of what we do in the summer going forward, of who starts. You know, you might be, we've said all season, you've got 5 forwards now and you've got 5 subs a game. So it's not a 11-man game anymore. It's 14 players. He might be pushed maybe on the bench to be fighting for that place again next season, because there may be another signing who comes in. But I do understand the process why you're looking at what you can get with Darwin Núñez. But on today and on the last couple of weeks, like the United miss and stuff like that, a striker who's maybe not even going as far to say clinical, but just courage in their convictions and believes in themselves when they get in those situations, you just feel at times he doesn't do that. He blasts that today. And I'm sorry, it's point blank. If you find a corner, it's a goal. This is elite football. This is not five-a-side with your friends. This is what I mean. It shouldn't just be I'm smashing it, to just, that's not how it works. And that's what I think you find frustrating, Grizz, and fans find frustrating as well. And I've got to be honest now, I heard a few podcasts during the week. The chaos thing's kind of grinding me a bit now as well, kind of grating on me a bit now. Let's stop calling the king of chaos, right? Because at the end of the day, I want someone who can just do their job, right? And I think that, and when the crowd goes Nunes when he misses as well, that kind of counterproductive in my opinion as well. It's like, don't reward someone for not doing what they're meant to do properly. That's frustrating. And today, I just, from the United game last week, I didn't. I felt when he got that chance, he just hit it and hope, and that's not on. You need to back yourself and concentration, focus what you're going to do. So it's frustrating, but I'm not going to go as far as to say get him at the club because I understand it could work out very good in the future.
Maybe you can sort of add to that point as well, and then obviously moving it forward, Diaz and Nunes are the ones that are taken off. Did you agree at the time with the subs? I thought Diaz was our best attacker again. Diaz looked lively. Diaz looked like the only one willing to take on his man and create something. Again, Salah looked anonymous. But again, like we spoke about last week, you just tried to keep Salah as much on the pitch as possible, even though you disagreed with that. You actually was of the opinion he shouldn't start. Maybe you was proved right because Gakpo looked lively, something to prove. But again, as I said, I don't want to look too forward, but these strikers, I do have their careers to play for, basically, literally. There's going to be some tough decisions. I actually think Nunes is an Amorim type of striker, but we'll discuss that another day. Today, performance.
The chaos label, I think, got tagged to Nunes because he was like a chance magnet, and some he would take, a lot he would miss. And he would always be making great movements in the box. He would always be energetic. He would always be trying to work chances for himself. Remember when he first joined, it felt like he was missing loads of chances or hitting them straight at the keeper, but quite often he was creating a lot of them himself. We weren't creating much for him. And I think what's been disappointing in the past few weeks is I actually feel like he's not making as many runs. I actually think that he's not been moving as much. And so there is no chaos.
Is that his instructions though? Is that maybe play like a striker, play like a forward, play like a number 9? Do you think that's strategic? And again, like I asked Evan about the Trent scenario, do you think it's confused strategy or confused tactics because we've changed his game or we're trying to change his game? I agree with you. He's making less and less of those runs. I don't know. I'm confused myself now.
Well, I think you kind of asked the question earlier, like, is there so many tactics, or is this just plug and play? Like whichever player you put in is what performance you get. And actually it's, you know, if Szoboszlai plays, okay, you get a Szoboszlai type midfielder. If Elliott plays, you get an Elliott type midfielder, and it's all freestyle. There's such a lack of identity, you know, in this team at times. And I just think I said it last week. I don't think Salah's in great form, and I said out of the front three, I think Salah needs to drop out because between Diaz and Nunes, you've got the guys that are the three that have been most informed, you'd say, and they're the two energetic and athletic ones. Diaz really looks like he's up for the fight with his title running. Nunes is always a willing runner. And I thought that we needed to drop Salah out because of bad form, but also because I wanted to see Elliott play there because he's such a selfless player. He'd be more likely to drop in the pockets and try pick out a willing runner in Nunes. What you found today was the likes of Endo and McAllister were getting on the ball and they were picking their heads up, and they had three forwards ahead of them that sat on the last line and not one of them came and offered for the ball. So that's why it was being recycled left and right and backwards, because no one was in between the lines. I was thinking today, like, imagine if we had an Odegaard in today's game where he just sits right behind the forward in that 10 position, collects the ball, nips it left, nips it right. We would have killed him, but nobody was willing to run from midfield into the space. And none of the forwards were dropping deep into the space either to link up. And when they did, the quality was poor. You know, they were just, the ball was bouncing off of them. It was bouncing up into the air. They were giving the ball away. So there was a real lack of connection between the midfield and the forwards, which is why you see, and then you praise the wings, because you can work the angles down the wings and then it's a hopeless ball into the box. You know, it needs to be more intricate. It needs to be more dynamic in the center of the park, because that's where players like Nunes and Diaz are going to come alive, and Salah to an respect, because they're going to be played, you know, little through balls in behind. And I just think when we talk about the forwards, I just think those three in particular at this point in time, out of form, it doesn't work. I thought you just had to sacrifice one. And then I also think that due to a lack of identity and what we're really, the forwards, what are they really being asked to do? Diaz, he drops deep, he links play, he tries to beat his man, try cut in, get a shot away, fine. But as a centre forward in this team, do I drop in deep? Do I link play? Do I stay on the shoulder, run in behind? Are we going to attack down the wings? Do I get across the front post? Am I expected to be a target man? And it looks like it's completely unclear what's asked of these forwards. So I think there's bags of ability across all of our squad, especially in the front line. But we do need to start stamping our tactics and style and getting it across to these players so they actually know what they can do and play to their strengths. Because at the minute, this freestyle football, it looks like the quality shines through at times, and that's where we've got to where we have. But when the quality is not quite there, that's why we look like strangers. And I think it's probably, we talk about Klopp moving on, a new manager coming in, and maybe some changes with the squad in the summer and what have you. What is quite exciting is it seems like the next manager that's going to come in is going to have his own style and authority to stamp on this team. And if he gets the balance right with the quality you've got, that can be a really exciting thing.
Keith, around the 67th to about 70th minute, at the end of this sequence of events, I waved goodbye. I tweeted a wave. And yes, I admit, I lost all composure and thought, that's it. Title is over. In that sequence of events, Diogo Jota, who we've been sort of crying out for, get on the pitch. We need chances to fall to Diogo Jota, has literally an open goal to tap the ball in instead. I don't know if we want to give credit to the defender who blocks it. I think it might have been Mr. Nathaniel Klein again, or it might have been Lerma. I can't remember. Magnificent block or a just rusty finish, just the way things are going for us. They then go up the other end, and Mateta bullies Khanage in the box somehow, and Alisson makes one of the all-time great saves. Like it's just an all-time great save. And then from that we break, and Curtis Jones is put through and puts it wide. I don't normally switch off the TV because you never walk alone, and we keep fighting till the end. And I believe this team has shown me miracles, but it's just, that cliche. I knew this is not our day.
Yeah.
Can you make sense of that sequence of events? Can you make sense of the open goals and the blocks they were doing? Can you tell me why Palace were playing like their lives depended on it? What was going on?
Maybe Palace are just Arsenal fans. Remember, they get all their talent. They get all their talent from. They're probably all Arsenal fans, so they were playing for them. That's my justification for it all. They were playing like a team that was playing for the league, and we were playing like a team that had 1 foot in the sand at times on a beach as we go off on holiday, waiting for the new manager. Look, I think it all comes down to something that Kolo Touré said on the post-match after the Arsenal game. And he talked about like emotions, right? In a title race, you cannot be emotional. You have to put emotion out of it. You have to be composed, and you have to play the game, right? And as far as I'm concerned, over the last couple of weeks, a lot of our players have lost all composure. Correct. You could talk about that Jota chance, but Dominic Szoboszlai was signed as a forward, right? He was a forward. He was a right-sided forward at Leipzig. You're telling me that a more composed and calm Szoboszlai could have just dinked it over the keeper. You're telling me that a calm or composed Szoboszlai could have just taken one touch and just slotted with his left foot. The keeper was in no man's land. Szoboszlai didn't even have to cut it back to Jota. He could have just lobbed it over him with it. But if he was in composure form,
do you know what it is? I agree. I kind of know where you're coming from, but by this stage, and I think this is what happened against Man United as well, guys. We lost all belief in ourselves to finish chances.
Correct.
We started passing when we started making the wrong decisions every single time. It was the wrong decision to make, and I think that's a consequences of missing chances.
It's a consequence of missing chances. It's a consequence of the Manchester United game, in my opinion, quite frankly. And I think that these players wear the emotion with a heavy shirt. And the Curtis Jones chance, for me, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, that was the last player that I wanted to see go through one-on-one.
I know what
I'm
you
sorry.
mean.
When I double looked and I saw it, I was like, why couldn't it could have been anybody else? But you know what, Grizz, it could have been anybody else, and they probably would still have done the same thing. Certain players.
Diaz was through 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
against
I was
Man
about
City.
to I was about to say, Keith, I can think of one off the top of my head if you want it, but
you know,
I didn't. Let me ask you this, Keith, because I don't want to butt in too much. Did you think he was going to score? Because it sounds like you didn't. Can I say that with every single clear-cut opening Liverpool should have scored, I would say safely at least 3 times today? Are we okay with that number? Potentially 4 or 5? I swear, I did not believe for 1 second we were going to score any single one of those chances.
I was the same.
I'm a physical watcher of the game. You know, I lean in. You know, I sit up, I stand up. Things get a reaction out of me. I did not sit up once during that game.
But guys, we're
My
saying
body,
this, right?
Yeah.
But guys, we're saying this, right? We're saying this, and none of us are really that negative and pessimist normally. We've seen enough of this team to not be always down and out about it, right? But I wasn't like, I became like that. I started having those feelings as the game was going on. But some of those chances were like, you're literally waiting for the net to bulge. Like there were pullbacks, and it's like there's no keeper even in the area. Like we haven't even discussed the first half save from Luis Diaz. What a brilliant cross from Robertson. Luis Diaz bicycle kick or side kick or whatever you want to kick it. Henderson was amazing in goal for them. Some people might say we're overreacting and this is a freakish result because we should have, like Kevin says, minimum scored 3 goals. Because in that second half, apart from that Superman save from Alisson, they didn't touch us. But you're right, near the last 20 minutes, I was like, we can do what we want.
As soon as I saw what the state of play was, Grizz, like forget before we even made a chance. Forget before Palace even scored. As soon as I saw the rhythm and flow and lack of technical security and just overall lack of everything in the tone of the performance inside 10 minutes, I knew I just was not expecting a goal because I just didn't see where it was going to come from. You know, because like you said, we didn't even talk about Dean Henderson's, great positioning. You know, I think the ball just kind of hits his hand in the end, but it's great positioning to be there. Like, if the goal is not going to come from some incredible instinctive acrobatic thing like that, then it's probably not going to come. You know, Jota, goal at his mercy. Soboslai puts it on a plate for him. Admittedly, there's bodies on the line. He still should score. I did not hold my breath. Jones threw on goal. I did not hold my breath. The ball drops to Nunez in the box. I did not hold my breath.
Do you know what it is? It's also the reaction. When you look at the reaction of the players, the misses. You start like, for example, that Jota miss is before the Curtis Jones miss. Look how Curtis Jones reacts to that miss, right? And that is emotion. That is, you can't be emotional. You can't allow
100%.
these things to come into your. You have to be killers at the end of the day. Haaland's missed the most amount of chances this season. You don't see City players dropping to the floor or depressed. The biggest thing for me was how the players almost look crestfallen after the draw against Man United. They've taken that emotion and now it's gotten into their heads. This is why we've got into fans' heads as well.
Do you know what though, Keith?
They're not supporters though. This is the thing. Sorry, Cav, I'll let you go in a sec. Sorry, mate. They're not fans though. Professional footballers. Do better. Be methodical. Like, this is what we said before. We said it a couple of months ago. It shouldn't be emotional. It should be emotional when the final whistle goes. You should have a plan and you stick to the plan. So when it's not working, if you can see the goal, like you said before we came on, Keith, Man City against Palace, go back to the basics, go back to what your plan is. That's how you play this way. The chance of scoring is this percentage or whatever. Like, we're talking about Curtis Jones, a professional footballer since he was 7 years old, going through 1-on-1 like it's a lottery. What is going on here? Like, it's madness. Like, Dean Henderson's position's not even great for that chance. The side is there. It's a simple finish. Can't take in it. And the fact that we don't have confidence in professional footballers at the highest level taking those chances, then there's a problem. Because this is not a one-off. And the fact that we are third now and we're accepting that, and like, I know what you mean, Evan, because I'm the same. Like, you can see it and you're like, we're not going to score. But we shouldn't feel that way, because it shouldn't be a lottery. It should be drilled into them that, okay, not everyone's going to be a great finisher, I get that. But there's certain things that should just be standard for professional footballers. And it seems to the freestyle football, off the cuff, how you're feeling. Well, that's not good enough for me, because you're getting paid the money, you're training every day. It should be drilled into you on what to do when the opportunity comes, what the movement should be. And this is not like one-offs happen, but Man United, like, you're saying Curtis Jones is like, effing and blinding when he's missed the chance, Keith. But how many footballers do you see don't do that because they're so focused in the game and they just go back to what their principles of play are? And that goes back to the conversation we had. Like, does this team get emotional? Can be a pro, but it can also be it can be a strength, but it can also be a weakness. And I think
I would like to
latter.
piggyback a bit, Conroy, because I think both of you are right. I want to sort of meet y'all both in the middle. I think, Keith, it's okay to display emotion after missing a chance. Because for me, when Curtis Jones reacts that way, it means confirmation that he holds himself to a much higher standard than what just happened. That's okay. I'm with Conroy in the sense that the actual action needs to be a bit more robotic, though. And I feel bad to do it because he's been getting picked on nonstop, but I just gotta apply the criticism where it needs to be applied. Nunez needs to be a bit more robotic in the way he finishes chances. And what I mean by that is this. I'm going to be specific. Nunez, when he goes through on goal against Atlanta on Thursday from the Curtis Jones pass, and he goes for the dink, and he gets it horribly wrong. If you replay that situation another 6 or 7 times, I bet Nunez would try 6 or 7 different things. I don't want that. I want him to nail down 2 to 3 different actions of how he approaches that chance. I do the chip, or I open my hips and I slot it like Henry does, or I go around the keeper. I just want him to nail down, like in certain situations, I just want him to nail down like 2 to 3 repeatable actions. Because Michael Owen offered what was at the time not well-received analysis of Nunez's chip against Brentford, but he says that's incredible. That's an incredible piece of skill. That's such a tough thing to do. Full flow, full flight. The goalkeeper Flecken 6'4", he's still standing up. He never goes down, and Nunez still dinks him successfully. It's great. But Michael Owen says that what Nunez should have done is the robotic thing, little thing with the hips, go around the keeper. Because if Flecken doesn't get low, which he didn't, then Flecken has no chance if Nunez just pushes the ball 5 yards to one side. It's just an open goal. Michael Owen was spot on. We didn't want to hear it at the time because it was such a great finish. But I think Owen was cooking when he said that. Because Nunez, yeah. Go ahead.
I think Owen knows a few things.
About
goal scoring. Kev, you wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, just to add to that example, Leicester City won a Premier League with Jamie Vardy being robotic every single time he took it around the keeper.
His finish, Kev. A great point.
He would buy a penalty, or he would slowly in. But every single time in that scenario, he takes it around the keeper. It is
Thierry Henry opens his hips. What's going to happen 9 times out of 10? Ball's going to go in the bottom right corner. Yeah, exactly. Nunez doesn't need to be a lights out finisher, but he does need to start like adding some consistency in terms of when I'm in the box in this situation, I go for this type of shot because it's my most repeatable action in this circumstance. Every once in a while, yes, mix it up, try something unpredictable, but don't go for the unpredictable thing every single time. Go back to the repetition of training where I did the open hip finish 35 times in training a few days ago. I'll have 2 chances to do it in the game. I'll do it twice. I won't try anything else.
See, I just wanted to chime in on the previous point about emotion. I tried to tie the 2 points together. I think we've got this wrong in terms of emotion, I think that since Klopp announced his leaving, right, fine. He didn't want to make it about him, and he told everybody not to do his chant, and that's fine. We're in every competition at this point. Continue as we've gone. I think at this point, when the team recognizes they're not playing particularly well, not taking our chances, I don't see. In today's game, I was frustrated at the lack of emotion, and I know Keith and Conroy, you were saying that you want us to be sort of cool, calm. But Liverpool's greatest asset is Anfield. Liverpool's greatest asset is intensity and emotion. And Anfield had nothing to get behind today. And when we're missing them chances, a body language like showcase that emotion, slam the ground, like scream in the air, throw your hands up and get the crowd going. Because although you've still missed the chance, you need to get Anfield on side. You need to get them roaring. You need to build the intensity. And I was really disappointed today at the lack of emotion from both the players on the pitch and Anfield. And to be honest, I don't particularly blame the fans, because we've seen time and time again this season, the team go behind, we find a way of winning, and we all sit here and go, oh, fair play to them, they come from behind. But it almost feels a bit fickle saying that, because we know that we weren't good, and we know it's going to catch up with us. So to continue to, you try and continue to cheer on and support, but you do lose that belief as the season goes on. Today, I really thought, and I think the past few Anfield games we've had, I think we should have found a way. You see it with Klopp. He's calm throughout the game. Every time that we miss a chance, the cameras pan to him. He's just smiling and he's just miming, wow. But like, where's the Klopp of old that was screaming and stuff before? It feels like the end of his story at Liverpool is just petering out with a whimper. And all that he was known for, that intensity, that heavy metal football, that running down the touchline, screaming in officials' face, I think that's what we needed. I think that's what we could have harnessed towards the end of this season. And it feels like we're just not going to get that. And the team that does is what your guys are saying in Man City are going to be robotic. They're going to show that elite mentality and that experience and go on and win it. I think the only way we'd have probably overcome them is to get that emotion on side. And I just think we've really missed a trick with it. Don't get me wrong. It's not artificial. You can't, if you don't feel emotion, you can't showcase it. But I have no doubt in my mind that when Curtis Jones missed that chance, he's frustrated. Jota misses that chance, he's frustrated. Show it. Like, show your emotion, guys. Like, it's okay. And what I wanted to sort of add to the point finally is, I think that the past few seasons, last season we had a terrible season with injuries, and it felt like going into every single game we had an injury, so we had an excuse, and it just became about get to the end of the season, we'll build a new midfield and go again. This season, it's been a transition season and bedding in new players, and it's about creating a feel-good atmosphere. It's about bedding people in. It's about, if you watch Inside Training, people creating their new cliques. So Bozolai spoke earlier in the week how he hangs out with Trent a lot, and all that's nicey. But when you're going for a league title, they need the nicey, and the identity doesn't want to be creating a family atmosphere. It wants to be an elite mindset where you aren't happy with losing, and I think that maybe what would have come if Klopp was still here and we had this same group of squad going for it next season. As it happens, we're going to have a new manager and it will all change again. But I do feel like we've gone, I don't want to say soft, but our identity isn't one of a team that is at the minute devastated when they lose. Like, the elite mentality isn't there. And I think that can only happen when a squad's been together and missed out and then or won numerous titles. That's what they're used to. They're used to winning. And you see it with Man City, like with the players that they've got. Yes, they've got new players in there, but they just switch it on at this time of the season because they're like, we are not missing out on this title. It will not happen under no circumstances, because that's become their identity. And I just think we've not quite got that now.
Well, we haven't got it yet. I agree with you. We just haven't got it quite yet. Someone who does have that mentality and played like he knew what it meant and what was needed was Andrew Robertson. And Keith, after the game, if people think that we're picking on the forwards and attackers, well, hey, is he vice captain? No, well, he's one of the captains. He's one of the leadership crew. Came out and said it. Said exactly what we've been saying, and he said we need to do better in front of goal. And he alluded to the fact that we need to do better in defense as well. But he said we haven't conceded many goals, and when you're going for titles and cups, you need to put away your chances. So I think that was quite. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard a Liverpool player or a coach come out directly and speak about sort of other players in the team or other forwards in the team or other defenders in the team as blatant as that. But that just shows you the frustration and the emotion side. They're feeling it. They felt this week very, very much so. And Jurgen Klopp spoke about it as well, the emotional side about it. And he thinks, and like we were just discussing, we haven't had a chance to think about it much. So I might be putting all of you guys on the spot here. But Jurgen Klopp came out and said something weird, not weird, but something about he thinks we haven't been right since the Man United FA Cup game. And he thinks we might be suffering since then. What just very quickly, all of you, anyone can chime in. What do you think you mean by that?
Yeah,
Keith, start with you.
100%. I think you know, because it's the first time that these players have played together. I'll give them that. And I think it, you know, it was all good when times were good, right? You know, there was great harmony. I think, you know, up until we lost against Arsenal, you know, apart from a couple of Europa League games that didn't really mean much, the only defeat that we really had was against Tottenham. So they didn't really suffer hardship, you know, whether, you know, we kind of dug in and we got things done. This is the first time where I think the players really realize the pressure that it takes when you're playing for Liverpool Football Club and how impactful results can be on, you know, on your day-to-day and as a collective. And so I think that was a real kick in the face because, again, like, that game was a perfect example of a team that had the game in their hands and they threw it away. Liverpool threw that away. And I think it's hard for a lot of them to come to terms with the fact that they then went to Old Trafford again and threw it away again, having scored the goals. And I respect Andy Robertson's opinion. And it's true. We've had, I think the XG is about 6 in the last 2 games, right, between Atlanta and Crystal Palace. And he probably feels it, and a lot of other players probably feel frustration as well at the fact that there's a 50-50 chance we might score today. But I will go back to the fact that a team like Liverpool cannot, and I just saw the stat, and we didn't speak about it at the time, but the stat is that we've gone behind 21 of the 31 games we played this season. So Andy Robertson can say, oh, we don't concede as much. And it's true. Manchester City have conceded 32 goals this season. We've conceded 31 in the Premier League. There's a big difference between conceding consolation goals or conceding 2 against Luton when you're already dominating the hell out of them and doing what Liverpool are doing, which is constantly chasing games and having to rely on the forwards to save a football match, as opposed to going ahead and trying to see out that victory, or maybe being 2-0 up and conceding a goal. We can take that. Those things can happen. But when you go behind 20, eventually that is more to bear than can be taken. And I think the Man United game was the stark wake-up call that actually, do you know what? You're not going to get away with it all the time. You're going to go to a stadium like Old Trafford and you're going to get found out. And Liverpool have been found out. And since then, I think they've been shell-shocked, to be perfectly honest with you. They've gone home, they've gone back to Anfield and they thought, you know what, we'll pick this back up. But life doesn't work like that. Life is not, you can't just go, okay, that might have happened yesterday, but look at all the other times. The impact of yesterday will reverberate tomorrow with you. Not what happened 6 months ago, what happened throughout the season. So I can see why Jurgen Klopp said that. And I can see why this particular group of players don't know how to deal with it at this current point in time, because I don't think they've been under this type of pressure before, a lot of them. And it will be a learning curve. Look, this could all be part of a wider master plan that they take this on the chin, go into next season under a new manager and take all the disheartenment and learn when they get into these situations again. But the reality is that they have only themselves to blame in this situation, and you can't keep chasing games and expecting to get the result all the time. Eventually it will catch up with you.
Guys, football's mad, isn't it? It's like emotional, like the roller coaster. And obviously we at full time, I don't think anybody wanted to speak to anyone or do anything with regards to football or watch football. I don't know if you guys watched the Villa game. I
don't even like football.
You don't even like football, yeah. You
don't even like it.
Domestic cups. You don't like football.
No, yeah.
You don't.
I don't even like the Premier League anymore.
You don't like the Premier League anymore.
Call me when preseason starts. That's the only type of football I like. Preseason,
I'm-
nice and chill, nice day in the sun, new signings. It's great. It's great.
I am a sicko and a saddo. I didn't have nothing else to do. I took out the daughter to buy her some like chocolates and sweets, and I said, "Hurry up, darling." And Dad, you've watched football, and I said, "No, I need to watch more." I'm a psycho like that. And I looked at her, and she looked at me back and thought, "What's he talking about here?" Well, what I meant was I want to come back and watch Arsenal and Villa because Evan, our resident nerd, had told us Emery has something for us in midweek. And little did we know that it would mean fuck all in the grand scheme of things. But football's crazy and football's mad. I don't know, guys, if you watched it, and if you did, feel free to chime in now. But Aston Villa put on a clinic, I thought, overall. Emery put in a masterclass overall. And I just wanted to ask you guys, how does it make you feel that couple of hours later, one of our direct rivals also lost? So does it make you feel any better? Does it make you feel shitter? Does it do anything for you? Does it, where's your needle at? I know. That's exactly it. Can I just clip that? And that goes for everyone. Like,
it's cool. It's cool to be right. Thanks for shouting me out with my little prediction there.
that's right. I'll call you on your bad takes as well. Don't watch.
No, okay, yeah. No, it feels kind of crap. It feels kind of crap. I mean, some people are saying, I got hope again, and I'm just like, well, if we'd been playing well, and today was like the first freak result, if today was the first day we hadn't been, squandering chance after chance after chance, then maybe I would be like, okay, yeah, I can do this again. But now it's almost just like crap. Now I have to, kind of have hope again because this is the contract I have with my team that I support. This is my end of the bargain. It's crap, and here's why it's crap, Grizz, because the things that were in our control, the things that were gift wrapped for us, we did not combine those two things. We did not take our chances. We did not win that game 3-1, at least 3-2, whatever. Maybe we got lucky with Robertson's goal line clearance. So we didn't do what we could. And then Villa go and they beat Arsenal 2-0. And apparently they did it very well. I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched the highlights. Allison even gave you a Dudek moment. What? Come on. We brought in the best keeper in the world. I honestly, we all believe that. Plenty do. And he gives you a Dudek moment on his first game back, and we still lose. And they lose too. That's just crap, man. That's just crap. Because you look around, sometimes, you look around the universe and the universe is doing jack shit for you, and then you're like, okay, whatever. Wasn't meant to be, I guess. That's kind of how I felt when we lost the title on the last day of those 2 years. You can say, okay, whatever, we lost 2 coin flips. What are you going to do? I'm looking around. The universe did plenty for Liverpool Football Club today. With the exception of Connor Bradley rolling his ankle. The universe did plenty for Liverpool today. The forces were forcing, I don't know. I sound really unhinged right now, but you guys know what I mean. Like, come on, things were, things were. The butterfly flaps its wings. This happens on the other side of the world. Those things were falling in our favor today, and we still couldn't pull it out.
The book was written. The book was written, but we didn't want to publish it.
Exactly. The book was written. Plenty of other people contributed their chapters today. We just didn't, and that's crap. That's crap. I should have been buying a Ollie Watkins jersey at the end of the season, but I'm not.
Conroy,
that's
how did
crap.
You feel? Did you watch it? How did you feel? What do you think now?
Similar to Evan, I was keeping track with the game because I'm not a glutton for punishment. I didn't want to see Arsenal run riot and make me feel worse, to be honest. So I just I was at the gym, watched a bit of it, followed it on my phone, and then it's like the 87th minute. I was just checking updates, and it was like ball cleared by Arsenal. Then it was like, the update 1-0 Aston Villa. This was after Tielemans had hit the post in the bar with that effort earlier, and I'm thinking, something's in the water for Arsenal here. I can see a last-minute winner. But as I said before, Emery had something for us. I said it would be City or Arsenal. And, it became the Arsenal wanted to be the perfect villain today. But yeah, Villa, to be fair, have been impressive all season. And people are trying to say they're dipping form right now. Slightly, they are probably performance-wise and defensively not been amazing. But they're still very much wanting to seal that Champions League place
Yeah,
because
they
it looks
would
like
have
it's
got the
only
boost
before.
from the Spurs debacle the day before.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so they went into it extra motivated. Maybe they wouldn't have been the same motivation if Spurs didn't lose, because
And us as well, Grizz, because Germany are number 1 in the coefficient now for the 5th place. So well done, Liverpool. Well done again, brilliant. So that was us. It probably allowed them. They had to really get something at Emirates because it looks like it's going to be 4th place. You're not going to get a 5th place for Champions League. So, I always felt they were going to turn up anyway. But yeah, and they're just quite clever, eh? And the Emirates can turn quite quickly when it's not going so well, and they knew that, and they were very impressive. But to be perfectly honest, it just kind of makes you feel worse because you're just thinking to yourself, well, if we'd done our job, just like Evan said, we've got the favour we've been craving, but we've let ourselves down. So at the end of the day, you can only blame yourself. And let's be perfectly honest, guys. That's United, Atalanta, and today. Do you think we're not going to lose again before the end of the season? We'll maybe be more positive when the next game comes around. But realistically, the way we're playing, confidence is on the floor, finishing's on the floor. Yeah, it's just very frustrating. And you've gift wrapped it to Manchester City, who me and Grizz spoke last week, said we think they'll win every game, bar maybe Spurs away. But Spurs right now, after yesterday, they're probably a bit all over the place as
they're
well.
looking at that high line and licking their lips, mate.
Yeah,
Exactly. So that's the one thing. But if you're just against Arsenal, fair enough. If you're against a team pre-2018, but this is against a team, as we said earlier in the show, who know how to get it done and who've got the experience when that foot is on, the gas is on, 100 miles an hour, they can see it through usually. So you've just gifted them the keys. And Arsenal probably feel just as bad as us right now, to be honest, as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because to them today, that could have been a statement win. And they've fell by the wayside just like us. So at least you can be miserable together. I don't know if that's any consolation, but
no, my son, exactly. I done the,
Oh, sorry, I forgot your son's an Arsenal fan. I do. I didn't mean your son
that
directly.
group emoji. What's that character called, man? I don't even, the guy that does the, I sent him that emoji. It is what it is. Cav, final thoughts and feelings of where we are now. It's obviously massive advantage, Man City. Every week we count down the games, and usually it was with excitement, and now it's with nervous and trepidation. It's amazing what a week in football can do, right? 6 to go. Yesterday we were saying 7 to go. If we win 7, we win the title, because we knew Arsenal would fuck up somewhere. As we said, 6 to go. I personally don't see us winning all 6 anyway. And even if we do, I don't see Man City dropping enough points for us to overtake. But where are you at?
No, I firmly agree with that, Grizz. I think in my heart of hearts, we're not playing well enough to win a title. We deserve huge credit. I mean, I know we're a bit down at the minute, and we've been a bit critical tonight, and I think rightly so. But I think come the end of the season, we will be very proud of some of what we've achieved this season. I don't think any of us expected, if we finish sort of first, second, or third, we'll think, didn't quite expect that. Hope to be back in the top 4, but maybe not battling right to this point for the title. So we will be a lot more positive, I think, come the end. But I do genuinely think that Man City will go on to win it now. And I hope that we can drum up some kind of emotion, drum up some kind of energy, and turn the tie around in was it Bergamo? Is it? And give ourselves something to play for. I'm certainly not ready to end the season now, so I actually want the games ahead to mean something, and I really want to give Klopp the farewell he deserves. He deserves to go out with a team that's really fighting for everything, playing for everything, showing that passion, showing that desire, showing everything that Klopp introduced or brought back to this club. when he joined. So I'm just hoping for some positivity, some good performances, some passion, some fight, and let's see if you can do that. You've got an outside chance. But I do hope that we give it our best shot and not just cruise and whimper out the remainder of the season.
Anyone with any final thoughts and aspirations moving forward? I'm slowly running out of energy.
My only thing is this: 7 days is a long time in football. 7 days in football, in the world of football.
Haven't we just learned that?
It's like 2 years in the real world. So who knows what could happen in the next 7 days? Let me say it like this. And that's the biggest boost I can give. Like, we poured our hearts out tonight. We've taken a massive hammer blow, but there's a second leg to be won, and Bergamo, and Liverpool at some point the XG's got to turn in our favor. Maybe
this is it. Like this is the frustrating thing. This is what keeps us a little bit hanging on, because every fucking game our XG is like fucking 7. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's true, it's 7. It's not even 1.6, 2.25. Like, it's 7 and shit. Like, someone's got to pay.
At a certain point, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like Money in the Bank, WWE. We're gonna cash it in. We're gonna cash it in at some point, and that's the prediction in the chat that I got wrong. I don't know if you guys said. I was like, oh, we're gonna cash in our XG eventually, guys. Don't worry. We are
going to be here.
Predictions this week. Yeah,
we'll be here on the Red Fellas, happy as everything. And rival fans will come in and go, "Why are they so happy? They just lost the league title." We'll be like, "Because we scored 7 goals."
It's on to Atalanta. We will discuss what kind of lineups we should put out, and then it's, I believe, Fulham away next weekend. There's 6 games to go in the league, man. Cherish Klopp's last 6 games. Let's, like I think you guys have said, let's try to win all 6 games and see where it lands us, man. Anything can happen, and everything can't as well, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. I don't know. We're a bit confused today, as you can tell. I think Liverpool have that effect, as I said. They just take you through such a roller coaster that you're never stable. You're never always happy or just robotic like certain teams are. You're just up and down, and this is part and parcel of being a football fan. As I've always said, cherish the highs, try to stay level-headed in the lows, and then they'll come back again. Football's cyclical. Right now we're going through a vicious, nasty cycle. But hey, tomorrow's Monday. Another week begins, and maybe there is hope in our hearts still. This has been Red Fellas Sunday night. Over out. Take care.
Welcome to the Half Space Football Show, brought to you